Everybody, it's Cheryl from Tutoring with Cheryl, and I'm here to talk to you about what struggling readers often hear and why it actually hurts them. Okay. Now, I am just as guilty as the rest of you of sometimes making these mistakes. So, this video is actually just as much for me as it is for you. But I wanted to just hop on and talk just for a couple of minutes about this. I'm going to be talking to you about harmful phrases that adults don't realize that they say, how this shameful, giving your child shame is going to impact their learning, and it's going to have behavioral impacts, emotional, motivational impacts, and then what to say instead. So if you hear yourself in any of this, don't be upset about it, don't take it personally, just go, oh darn, I did that, maybe I can try better next time. So don't panic. Because if you're like me, I've done it too, and it's just something that we just have to maybe train ourselves to do. Because if you're working with a child that struggles to read, sometimes it's just hard to sit there and listen to it, and you're thinking, but I've taught you this, or haven't you learned how to do this? And it can feel really hard, not only for your child but also for you. So maybe you've heard yourself say this or heard somebody else say this: you just need to read more at home. And I've even said that. Okay, now it can be good for some kids and it can be bad for others. For some kids, they might think that the blame is on them for not reading enough. Okay. And they're like, but I am reading enough. I just can't read anymore. Like, I just can't do this anymore. Or it can make the parents feel like they're at fault for potential learning difficulty. If you were to phrase it in the sense of, we've been working on these types of books, and if you'd read more of these types of books or this book at home, it could help. It's actually going to help the problem, not just say you just need to read more at home, because kids don't know what to read. Parents don't know what to read. So you're going to have to layer that with, like, hey, I think a little bit more time reading at home might help. Have you considered trying this? And that will change that from a shame, blame to a, hey, we have a problem. This is how we can solve the problem. Now, there are times when I've even been guilty of this, and I've said, well, you know this word. Well, it might sound encouraging, but for the child, it might feel like, oh, wait a minute. How come I don't remember that word? Did I really learn that word? So what you can do is you can break down the word as you offer support. You can say, let's say the word. Let's figure out what the syllables are. And I'm going to use this word again because I just used it in another lesson. Disadvantage, disadvantage. It has four parts to the sound. We know dis means not, advantage means something that gives you an advantage, or gives you a step up, or makes something easier to complete. So dis would be the opposite of that. You can break it down and help them decide how it's being used in the story. Okay, so you're offering more support. Now, please really avoid this one, because I have a feeling that a lot of kids have heard this. You might say, just because maybe you're irritated, why can't you be more like your brother, your sister, your cousin, your friend? They love to read. Well, when you compare a child to another child and you say it out loud, maybe you're thinking it, but if you say it out loud, it's going to breed jealousy, resentment. They're going to feel insecure, and they're already feeling badly that they can't read. So it's just going to add to this negative association with reading. So I'm just going to say, just avoid that conversation. Just don't even say that. Maybe you could turn that around and say, who do you know that's a really good reader? What do they do that makes them a good reader? Well, if you wanted to read like that, do you think that some of those things might help you? And then you kind of take that shame and blame out of it. So that's just maybe something else. Now, how does this shaming, and I don't know if it's really shaming or blaming, or just some of the ways that we refer to this reading problem, how does this affect our child's cognitive learning, like the ability to remember and learn, and all of that? Okay, so it's cognitive load is like how much their brain can hold at one time. So if you're going to shame your child, they're going to just be thinking about, oh, I'm such a terrible reader, I just can't do it. And then they're just going to just shut down, basically, because some kids have a processing problem. They have they need more time to practice something. It takes them more time to read fluently. It takes them more time to comprehend what they're reading. They need more notes and things like that. So what we need to do then is say, you know what? I realize this might take you a little bit more time. Let's break this down. And then teach them how they can break a longer text apart into something that's shorter. Read it with them. Give them the support that they need. There's a lot of really cool things out there on the internet and inside. If you use the Chrome browser and they happen to be reading, maybe your child's school has just an online text, there's actually a way to get the page read to you by going up to your reading tab, I believe is what it is. And when you open that, it will, you can highlight the page and it will read it to you. Read it to your child. So that might be a way to maybe help them break a longer assignment apart. Teaching your child how to highlight a word and look it up in an online dictionary, just throwing it into Google and say, what does this word mean? Copy, paste. And, that's going to help them. Um, Determining the best way to take notes or to read the notes that somebody else gives them is really going to help with that cognitive overload that they just can't really remember. Another really, really big problem for kids is attention disruptions. Okay, so this is really hard to avoid in the classroom when there's a lot of kids in the classroom, and maybe there's another child that reads really, really well, and they read really fast, and the teacher goes, "Listen to so and so read," and then they might feel like, I feel really bad. I can't do that. But turn that around for your child and say, well, yeah, I heard you say that Sally read in class today. What'd you like about it? Kind of like what I said before. And is there anything that she does that you could learn how to do? Or maybe we can mimic her. Sometimes when we mimic other readers, it actually takes that attention disruption away. And then we don't have to just focus on what we can't do. We can focus on what other people can do and make that something that we can aspire to. And that kind of leads into performance anxiety. This is totally what I went through during junior high and high school. I was so worried about people thinking that I was stupid because I would come across a word that I didn't know, that I just would like freeze up in fear. And I'm quite certain that my classmates are like, Cheryl's a reading tutor? Are you kidding? She couldn't read very well in high school. Well, I had to flip the switch when I got to college because there was just a huge amount of reading to do. And I had to really bolster my background knowledge and my vocabulary to understand what I was reading. And then I became a more fluent reader. And so helping your child to get over this performance anxiety can be as simple as doing what I just said. Give them more experiences about things that happen around them in the world, watch nonfiction things, read nonfiction books to them, listen to audiobooks that are about the world around them. Build that background knowledge so that they can take that information and apply it to what they're reading. Have them read texts that they can read, but then have them practice ones that are a little bit harder and read at home, read out loud. And just with a little bit more support at home, this might be what will help bridge the gap for your child without getting professional help. Okay, so that could be something. Now, we have behavioral impacts here too. And I see this all of the time in my private practice. And some of my students like to do this because they don't want to meet with me. They'd rather go play a game or spend time with friends. Well, why do I have to spend a half hour with Sheryl when I was having fun watching that show? So that the avoidance part could come down to, I want to do this instead, right? Okay. Well, individuals, kids, people, anybody, you're going to avoid activities that trigger shame. And so if your child is ashamed of how they're reading and maybe they can't voice it, they are going to avoid it. It's going to cause like skipping words or reading but not listening for understanding. They're just going to buzz through it, not even think about what they're reading. Sometimes older kids will drop classes that are too hard for them because they're so worried about their reading abilities, or they're going to hide the difficulties from people. And it's just not, that's not a good thing. Okay, so just really encourage your child. Say, if you're not sure, ask your teacher for some help. Ask what that word means. If you can look it up in a dictionary, teach your child how to use a physical dictionary if there's one handy, so they're not always on a digital device, but you can always look it up yourself. And then some students shut down. They just totally withdraw. And another thing I see in my practice, especially with my students who are really struggling with reading, is they want to get up and walk around or they want to leave. And I'm like, no, you need to come back. And I saw it in my classroom too, When the work would get hard, they'd be like, can I go to the bathroom? Can I get a drink? I have a headache. I need an ice pack. Anything to get out of the room. Well, okay, so you can say you can have 3 passes to leave the room today. Use them when you need them, but that's all you get. You have to be back in 1 minute. Set the timer or whatever. Maybe they just need to withdraw that way. Or maybe you can say, you have 2 minutes in the coloring space, set the timer, come back when you're ready. Something like that. Because for some kids, they actually need it. But for most kids, I would just really encourage them and say, this is what I saw that I really liked. That was really good. Let's keep going. Or if they need to stand up, let them stand up. That's okay. What are they impacting? They're not going to be in the way of anybody. In the classroom, if they're in the way, have them stand off to the side or in the back. At home, they might just need to stand. Or get them a little wiggle seat. You can buy these little plastic blow-up pads that they can sit on, and they've got like little, I don't know how to describe it, but they're kind of pokey, but they're soft. I don't know how to describe it, but they can sit on it. It's just a way for them to kind of get the fidgeting out, and that might actually help. And then really reduce the risk of sharing, okay? You can do some things like shared reads, choral reads, read after me, that kind of stuff to really build up that confidence for a reader who's just really showing a lot of behaviors associated with their concern over their reading. Okay, so I've kind of talked about, this negative perspective, excuse me, of it. Now, what are some right things to say? Okay, definitely acknowledge effort. Okay, but be specific. Instead of saying, hey, good job of reading, say, I noticed that you really sounded out that long word. Wow. Or that was a great idea that you had about the setting of the story. I agree. It's in a forest. It's dark. It's scary. And then you can add whatever is missing element if they don't give you enough. Or you can say, can you tell me more about that? And really encourage them to tell more. You can build confidence by saying, you can do this. We have some tools that all help us. Let's go back and use the tools that we have. Or, you know what? I know you can do this. We're not quite there yet. I'm going to keep teaching you the skills that you need so that you can do it on your own. You can say things like, we all struggle with things. I used to find whatever and then fill in the blank hard for me. This is what my experience. Maybe it's not the same as your struggle for reading, but I know that it is hard to do hard things. But let's just tell ourselves that we can do hard things. Can you say, I can do hard things? Okay, now we're just going to do one little thing at a time and really break it down into little steps for your child. Really, 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 if you can, try to connect with their interests. Now, I do not want your child only reading stories about Legos or their favorite video games, because that's going to really limit them. But let's say that they were really into video games and the video game had a dinosaur in it. Well, then that might be, well, let's learn about that type of dinosaur. Did you know that some scientists say that dinosaurs were actually related to birds? Let's learn about birds now. Did you know that there's different kinds of birds that don't fly? Let's go and find all the different kinds of birds out there that don't fly, and let's read about them. So you can use that as a stepping stone to get your child interested in some other things, not just staying where they're at, because you don't want them just to stay in one topic, because when they do, then that really narrows their focus. And we want to give them a lot of information to grow their minds with, so that when they're reading other texts, they can use those experiences to answer comprehension questions and really understand what they're reading. Now, couple of the other things, I want you to focus on the why of the reading, okay? So if you're reading a sentence or reading a word, you might say, well, let's figure this out together, and then ask them, why do you think it's important for us to understand that? And even if they don't have an answer, you're ready with one. You might say, you know what, that's a really good idea, but I think it might have been more like this. And so you're not saying wrong completely. It was right that they answered. Okay. You don't want them to always answer incorrectly, but it was right that they answered. And now you're going to help boost their confidence by saying, I love that you shared, but I actually think it might have been this instead. and this is why, and you explain yourself. So you're giving them a chance to answer, even if they're wrong. If they're right, really celebrate that. I like how you answered that. I agree with you. I also think it means whatever, and you explain it. And then again, please share your own struggles. If it's not about how you found a struggle when you were learning to read, maybe it was a struggle in math, or maybe it was your struggle to learn how to drive, or maybe you couldn't pass your entrance exam into something, or maybe you're struggling with your finances right now. Whatever it happens to be, tell your children those struggles. Be honest with them. Don't make it their problem. Please don't do that. But tell them so that they know that sometimes life is hard and you have to work for what you really want. And then ask them again, why do you think it would be important for you to become the best reader that you can be? And just really ask them that. And they might be able to tell you, they might not, but tell them things like, well, I want school to be easier for you. I want you to enjoy your science class. I want you to enjoy your whatever. Um, I want you to be able to read the directions for the game that you want to play, and really bring it down to their level so that they can understand that there's a reason for learning how to read. And you're going to do the best that you can to make it as easy as possible for them. That does not mean that you're going to do the reading for them. That just simply means that you're going to support them the best that you can so that it becomes the easiest path to follow. I hope that this has been helpful for you. If you have just found me for the first time, I am a reading tutor. I specialize in literacy. I work with the science of reading, blending in phonics and writing and vocabulary and all the things that makes for a good reader. And I really challenge my students, and they have great growth. Sometimes it takes some kids a little bit longer. And so, I can tell you the story of somebody who only visited with me for a year and they were above grade level and were done. But in all reality, a lot of the students that I work with have ongoing problems. They either have really slow processing skills, they've got speech language disorders, they have ADHD, they could be autistic. There's a lot of things that could be going on. Or maybe they're just so far behind, it's going to take a long time to get caught up. Maybe they're a fifth grader who's reading at the first grade level. That is not going to be an overnight fix. But what I can tell you is that the practices that I use with my students do turn things around. And I really hope that through the things that I'm sharing with you, you can hear the things that I do in my own practice that make a difference for kids. Please make sure that you visit my website at tutoringwithsheryl.tutorbird.com. Please like and share this content with anybody that you think might need it. And I just want to thank you again for joining me today on your child's journey to becoming the best reader possible. Make it a great day and keep the learning going.